Today we're dyeing manes and tails, but first let me show you what you need. Okay, so first I suggest wearing a t-shirt that you've already ruined, a pair of pants that you either want to make your dyeing pants and it doesn't matter if they get stained, and I specifically prefer jeans, and you're gonna find out why. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm all by myself and I don't have anybody to hand me stuff when I'm wearing my gloves, so the belt loops can come in really handy. But what you'll need for supplies, you're gonna need one of these long vet sleeves, these plastic gloves, hairbrush, a pair of scissors, hair elastics, duct tape, lots of Dawn soap, your hair dye, black garbage bags, a few extra cloths, some gloves, and a bucket of warm soapy water. I'm starting with my duct tape, and I want to make an anchor for all of my pieces. So you're going to come here and you're going to decide where you want your end of the mane to be. And you're going to come around underneath. And back onto it. I'm going to do a piece back to the croup, and that'll be for my tail later. Give yourself lots of extra at the back. So you're going to come, and I usually just put it back onto itself there for a moment. Attach it there. All right. Give yourself an extra piece here if you feel like you want to make sure it's secure. Then I'm going to come up to the forelock. All right, so at the forelock, you're going to come here and you're going to make like a triangle. And you're going to come under your halter like that. So you see you got one line. You bring your forelock over, come in with a second piece of duct tape, and again, just like a triangle positioning, and back under the halter. Then you're gonna see this little section here. I am gonna put a piece of duct tape there, like that. Now this piece you want a little loose. You don't want this stuck right to them because they're gonna move. This is probably a good point to talk about sedation. I prefer not to sedate my horses to dye them. I like to use sedation as sparingly as possible, so only if I really, really need it, and I find I can do this without sedation. Now, there might be certain horses or certain situations where maybe you feel you need it, but this is showing on a not sedated horse, and if you can, I suggest not sedating them. But yeah, so they're gonna move around a little bit, so you don't want this super tight or else it's gonna come undone. It's gonna keep ripping off on you. So you want to go through your halter. Yeah, do you wanna come on the other side for this? You wanna come through your halter, back onto itself, flip your whole mane, over if you can. Sometimes the hair doesn't want to work with you, but if you can, so you can see what you're doing. And then, like I said, just not super tight. You want lots of slack. You want him to be able to put his head down or up or move around as much as you want. And then you're going to join back over here to your anchor. All right. So I've cut my garbage bag into a rectangular shape, and I've kind of sized it up so that it's going to lay completely under the mane, and hopefully none of his coat underneath will get any of the dye on it. So I'm just gonna come up underneath that duct tape and stick the garbage bag to it. Just like that. And you don't have to worry. You see how easy that duct tape's coming off? You don't have to worry about it like sticking so hard to them and hurting them. If anything, usually it's not sticky enough. It's going to come apart on you more than it would hurt your horse. So don't worry about that. I've never tried any of the Gorilla Tape or anything like that. I would stick to the duct tape. That's what I know. So there we go. That's basically the setup you want. And now we're going to get into the Dawn dish soap. So we're going to come in with our Dawn, and we are going to apply it anywhere that we do not want to apply color. I'm going to come in really close along this clip line and make sure that I have it really good and saturated here, but I am going to make sure I do not get any on the mane. If I get any on the mane, the color won't transfer over there. I'm going to come in and put a little bit on his ears so that in case any dye gets there, I don't have any marks. And back by the tail, I am going to come on either side of his butt cheeks. So let's apply that now. So yeah, I just kind of coat my hand and come up over the ear. Now remember, we do have a lot of coat on, so we have a nice cushion. You know, this would be much more important if this was on a show horse that had already had their clip done. But he's got a lot of hair, and then I'm adding the soap. I think that it'll be plenty of a barrier. So on my finger, I'm going to get a nice thick layer, and I like to kind of rub it and push it up into my line, and then slowly drag it to try to get it as straight as possible. So yeah, nice and thick, and push, and then pull it down. Again, and you're just gonna follow that motion until you've got your line all drawn out. This is really where it matters more because we've clipped down so close. You don't want to leave your hair super thick there, because if you start putting on your hair dye, you'll get a really obvious line if you don't get all the way to the skin. So you want to be able to see exactly what you're doing here, but it does create more of a possibility to make a mistake, that's for sure. All right, and then down here we have more coat, so we're not as meticulous. This is more just a quick fix. There we go. And I'm happy with that. I might come and just make sure this is thick enough. And then up at the top. And on the other side, just slightly. Okay, wonderful. For the tail, like I said, just anywhere that it might rub. And now we are ready to apply hair dye. Before I apply the hair dye, I want to give him a really good coating of fly spray. I don't want him shaking or moving around, irritated any more than he needs to be while I'm trying to do really detailed work. So I've also mixed up 2 of my hair dye boxes. I just followed the instructions on the boxes. A little word about selecting your color. So there is, if we're talking drugstore boxes, which we can do, or you can do something from Sally's, that's totally fine too. But when picking the ones from the drugstore, there is blue black, and there is black, and there is a brown black. And depending on your horse and the color you're going for, that's going to be what helps you choose the box. He is an all black horse with a very black mane and tail. I'm going to go for a blue black on him. If this was a horse that had a little bit more natural red tone, I would go with the brown black. It's just matching the color to the horse properly. And if you have questions about that, please private message me. I can look at a picture of your horse and tell you what I would do or make a suggestion. All right, so we have fly spray, and I have put on 2 gloves. I am also, at this point, going to put some elastics around my fingers for the forelock. I'll show you why here in a minute, but the elastics are going to be what I use to secure the forelock. And I'm going to put them over my gloves. I never really know exactly how many I'm going to need, but I don't want to not have enough. Hey, none of that, none of that. They're going to do that a lot on you, especially if they're not sedated. You kind of just look and make sure everything's still secure. You will have to readjust. You will have to fix it. No need to get mad. You just got to be patient and go with it. So the dye boxes come with gloves, and these gloves are big, and I love them because they can go on top of the gloves that I have already put on. Just like that. Now I am ready to get dyeing. All right, so we have applied hair dye to the entire mane. I'm happy with it. It looks pretty good. I've gotten it as straight as I possibly could for this go, and I'm going to move to the tail. All right, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna get everything up into my hands. And I'm probably gonna put his tail in between my legs. I'm gonna come. Yeah, but can you fix your feet for me for a second? Oh, whoa. Thank you, bud. Okay. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna do a straight line at the top of the tail. Now you're going to blend this a little bit after everything's dry and done, so don't worry too much. This line isn't as critical as that main line next to the skin. We have hair here that we can work with, and the tail, we're mainly trying to get the red or the light back to black. So that is, if you see anything red, you definitely want to heavily saturate it. I am on my second bottle of hair dye now. I needed just a little bit more on the mane to finish it up, but now I'm on my last bottle. And yeah, just working it all the way in. Remember, you want it good and saturated. like 100 degrees in Texas here today, guys. This is hot work. All right. Basically, don't want to see anything dry. I'm gonna wet all the hair that you can. And now when I looked at him before, I know that the bottom was pretty black still from being up in his tail wrap. So I'm not gonna worry about having it super saturated at the bottom. I'm really working on all this red that I saw in here. And that's gonna be situational per horse. Just look at your horse, figure out where you need the most color and concentrate in those areas. It's feeling good and saturated there. And come in, kind of just sparingly, more of like a blending in with the color that was there. So I get a really nice natural flow. From the top to the bottom. Starting to run out now. So just come here, I'm gonna run my fingers through and try to get any of that hair dye that's on the gloves. Use up all the product that I can. Okay, and we're done. All right, there is my tail, last of the dye. And again, I'm gonna toss my hair dye bottle. And I'm gonna take off, oh, it's so sweaty. Take off a glove. I'm gonna try to dry my arm and my hand because it'll make this a lot easier. All right, I'm gonna take my glove. I'm going to attempt to get into my glove as far down as I can. Again, usually always by myself when I'm doing this, so kind of try to come up with tricks so that you can do everything with just two hands. All right, got it. I'm gonna wrap this end of the tail and get a good grip on it. And then I'm gonna use, look at that, hair dye all over myself. Take off the glove. And I'm gonna come up here and I'm going to very carefully come up and try not to get any dye there, just like that. And I twist this part of the glove, and I'm going to grab this slack that I left myself, and I am going to wrap it around. It does not need to be pretty, it just needs to hold it back to itself. Make sure you're good. Excellent. All right, I think we're safe. I think that's good. At this point, I'm gonna spray water down his back legs in case there's any hair dye I did not see that got anywhere. I'm gonna rinse anything off that might have drops or anything like that might have gotten on him. He looks pretty good though, but just as a precaution. So he has been processing for 35 minutes and we are ready to take everything off and rinse out the hair dye. I am going to wet his entire body. We're going to create another barrier in case hair dye goes everywhere. You're going to see the pattern there. We have multiple barriers so that we hopefully don't make a mess. Yeah, so let's just rinse him down. I'm going to make sure that I come under the garbage bag. Get them all wet. His legs wet, especially where there's any white. Get that really good and soaked. I start taking this off, I'm going to want this to come off fast in case there is any dyeing. I don't want to see lines where I had my duct tape or anything funky like that. Whoa. All right. Come up here and remove. Whoa, you're right. I'm gonna remove the tape. Just like you would with a show bath or any other kind of bath, I'm just going to gently, especially the white, this space all wet. And then I come up here and I'm just holding everything in my hand and I'm going to gently, as spraying, pull everything off. Keeping the water going. Working that hair dye right out, right with my fingers. I want the water to run clear. And I want to make sure that nothing got on that white. Excellent. Okay, that looks really good. Moving on to the main. As I'm rinsing the mane out, I'm going to start taking my duct tape off here. I'm not going to take off my anchor. I'm going to leave it. But I am going to start taking this off. I don't want this on while all that hair dye is coming off. I'm moving quick. Because again, I don't want any weird lines. Lots of water, guys. Lots of water for all that hair dye. You're not going to notice it as much on a black horse, but any of your horses that either have white on them or are a different body color, you don't want to stain that body hair at all. All that soap is coming off. Oh, buddy. I know. Sorry. There you go. Ooh, I'm really happy with my line, guys. That makes me feel good. I get really upset when I mess it up. Oh. Okay. Moving to the back. Same idea. Get everything nice and wet, especially any white. Kind of the same situation as the forelock. I'm going to get it really wet. And I'm slowly going to work down. Trying not to let anything splash back up at him if I can help it. We will get splatter marks. you want to make sure that every bit of dye is completely out of that tail. You don't want anything rubbing, anything burning, anything irritating. Make sure you take your time, work through, feel it. Make sure it is squeaky clean. Just like that. Good shake, bud. All right, now conditioner. The box sets come with a deep conditioner, and that is what we use. We don't want their hair drying out. Good boy, you did so good. All right. I don't like to be stingy with the deep conditioning. It needs it after a dye job. And just work it in. Same idea as the, is that good? Is that good? Yeah. Same idea as the hair dye. You just want to really saturate all of the hair. Perfect. Just like that. And we're going to leave that on for now. Come back to the tail. All right. There you go. That was a long time to stand, I know. All right. Nice and conditioned. Wow. Brush everything through. No knots. And one more rinse. And like I said earlier, we won't know how good the dye job is until she is completely dried and we take a look at our work. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to rinse them off, scrape them off, and let them dry. And then we will be back to see the final product. Hopefully, we like our results. So he is all dried and we're gonna come check our dye job. And I don't know about you guys, but I am really happy with how this turned out. I'm not seeing any variation now that it's dried. It's all nice and black. forelock turned out great. Come here, you see the mane. We covered up all the little single white hairs. This line specifically, whoa, look how natural that looks. Nice and straight, right along the edge. It's really nice. When we come back into the tail, really took out all that red, all that sun bleaching. Yeah, I'm really happy with this job. I hope this helped somebody out, and I hope you will have fun doing your own dye jobs at home.